Welcome to the Doc G Show, a radio show cluster. Without further ado, critics have said he has the face for radio and a voice for silent films. Your host, Ben Doc G Gordon.
And we are on the air. Welcome to the Doc G Show. I'm your host, Doc G. With me, as always, the one, the only, Mikey Maximus, the Furnicus.
Say what?
Charette.
Doc G, what is up, sir?
Woo.
So happy to be back.
Oh, my gosh. For the listeners that cannot watch us because, well, we don't have a full video of this anywhere. But, just so you know, listeners, Mike is wearing a voluptuous tank top right now.
Oh, yeah.
Miami Heat. He's going against his home team of Orlando, but I'll take it.
Keeping it
because it looks good. Looks good.
Yeah. For sure.
For the listeners that also don't know, Mike, you had to host. This was one of the reasons you couldn't do the show last week. You were hosting an open mic. How'd it go?
Yeah. Wise guys. It was a mess, man. It was a long open mic. People were upset that they had to go 50th.
I saw that list,
but,
man. I saw the list you had on social media there. You posted the sort of make do list as you were going, writing down the names, and that looked bananas.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, but you get into a groove with it, and it's always
What it end up being? Did you actually get a total count as far as how many people?
Yeah, it was like roughly 50 comics.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
a lot of guys and gals.
Shout out to the audience that actually listened to all of that.
They stayed through, man. They stayed through to the end. It was about a 3-hour show.
Man.
They stayed through. I mean, not all of them. There was obviously some drop off, but there was a core group that stayed through the entire time.
Now, would you say there were any Richard Pryor, George Carlin, diamonds in the rough that you saw, hot talent?
Oh, man, there's this lady, Mila D, in Vegas, and she is fantastic in this. She is so, the truth just comes right. I would say Richard Pryor, the truth is, it just comes right out of her.
Bubbles
there's
out.
no fluff.
I like it.
At all. She does not hold back.
Nice. Confidence.
Yeah.
She got confidence.
Very confident. It's so crazy watching somebody be that confident on stage. I'm like, man, I wish I could just have even a little tiny smidgen of that kind of confidence on stage. But she crushes.
I bet
man.
you.
She is so funny.
Well, I don't know. I was about to say, I bet you she doesn't actually have that confidence, but I bet you she does. I don't know. I don't know. Some people are just super really good at masking it, and they don't actually have it, but it looks like it. And then some people actually do. They just don't give a.
It seems pretty organic coming from her, but
well, I mean, a good example, Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor looked super confident, but he had like some of the worst stage fright of any comedian ever. I mean, he literally would like go into convulsions before going on stage because of how nervous he was. So like.
Yeah, that's a thing too, for sure. Yeah, and then when you get up there, it's like you're good, but all that before you're on stage stuff is annoying. Yeah.
Well, Mike, I had a couple of things that occurred to me over the last couple of weeks that I thought I would bring to your attention and to the esteemed audience. Yes. They're not big things, but they happened in my life, and this is where I air things that happen in my life. First, it happened in my bathroom, Mike.
Jeez.
Okay.
In one of my bathrooms. That's right, listeners. I have two.
Wow.
He does.
I don't mean to brag. I'm sort of a celebrity, but yes, 2 bathrooms. This is in one of them. And here's the downside of having a multi-bathroom estate, Mike. My toilet is a little defective. It's a little leaky.
Not good.
It's a little leaky, and because of that, it doesn't have the strongest flush,
Oh, yeah.
Well, this week, Mike, I'm not going to get into the details, but I used the bathroom.
That's a fact.
And the toilet was clogged. because of the low flow, it did not flush all the way.
That's the worst.
Yes. And it wasn't until I was literally at the sink washing my hands that I look over. You know, it's one of those things, you're used to hearing the normal flow of things, and I don't hear the ka-flush, and I'm like, and I look down, and of course, oh no. Oh, the water is rising. Oh no.
Oh no.
You know?
Yeah.
So I rush over there. I get my plunger. By the way, none of this would happen if I had a bidet. Just want to let everybody know. What am I doing with my life? I rush over there. I got my plunger. I jumped into action. Here's where it gets horrible. I throw the plunger into the water, and it splashed onto my face, Mike.
Oh, God.
Yeah. My face, listeners.
Oh, that's the worst.
Water on my face. And it's my water. Like, I've never been so disgusted in myself. I was like, what have you done? And like, it's one of those things that I wanted to wash it off immediately, but then I've still got this toilet that's about to overflow, and I'm just like, I don't know, oh God. And so I had, it was bad. It was bad. So, immediately as I'm plunging, I'm just like, oh God, I'm going to get pink eye. And I'm going to have to tell everybody that I got pink eye because I got poop water in my eye. Great. Yeah. Great. Oh.
Yeah, sure, you got poop water in your eye.
It was horrible.
Sure.
It's horrible. I washed my face like 40 times after that. Still didn't feel sufficient,
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
So I've been recovering from that. And it's been a little rough.
It's rough.
But the other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, Mike, so I'm getting over that, listeners. Don't worry. I will survive. The other thing I wanted to bring your attention to is I've been getting a lot of promo videos, a lot of ads on YouTube, on Instagram, ads promoting the use of AI to take a long-form video and make thousands of quote-unquote viral clips in seconds. And you know what, Mike?
You tried it.
No. I'm disgusted. That's what I want people to know. I am disgusted. I want to tell all the viewers and listeners the low quality, low volume of videos that you guys have known and loved from us will always be here. All right? I handcraft these crappy videos with my bare hands. Not some robot videos, Mike. When you see transitions and bad cuts and horrible volume, that's me. That is all me. That is me not knowing what I'm doing and refusing to get better. And that's what this show is about, all right?
Word.
Not AI polished clips. It's obscene, Mike. I'm not going to do that. Not going to get out there with these. You know what it's like, Mike? It's like back in the day when you used to have, like, when they went from vinyl to tapes to CDs to digital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Vinyl's back. Everybody wants to go on the vinyl. The vinyl
is back, yeah.
Guess what? Real deal videos will be back. You know what? I'm going to take it back a step. I'm going to craft our clips with a 9mm film camera. Put it on there. That's the way we're going to do it. I'm going to splice the film together.
Yeah.
With my bare hands, Mike.
I had like a Windows Movie Maker
exactly.
ending.
Oh gosh. I was fired up though, Mike. I was just like, you know what?
What's the name of this app, Doc G?
Oh, there were a bunch of them. There were a bunch of them, Mike. But honestly, I did think about you with stand-up. I was like, that would be nice. Maybe.
Yeah, I would like to see
But you'd have to see what they did. It's probably going to be.
I know,
you
of
know.
course. Oh, yeah, I want to see what it is.
Probably going to be it.
I'll let people know. This was made with a ChatGPT.
Little at the bottom. Well, you have to do it now. You have to do it on Instagram. Well, you don't have to.
Oh, really?
But it says it when you're publishing a video. It's like, was this made with AI? And you're supposed to check yes or no. I don't think a lot of people do that.
Kind of.
I think
maybe there should be a middle ground.
Maybe a little bit.
I did some editing. I did the stand-up.
But Mike, to segue crappily, the two things that I was just talking about there, pun intended, crappily.
Pun intended.
Yes. That's what the show is always about, Mike.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. AI. Yeah, organic. Organic is what it's always about, Mike. Yeah. And because of that, I am ready to fire this organic show up. Are you?
Yes. Let's fire up the organic show.
Woo!
Doc G.
All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and lift off.
Woo, Mike, oh my gosh, talk about organic. We have just a band that has risen organically to be one of the biggest bands in the world. Musical legends, UB40 on the show.
Get out of here, man.
Mr. Jimmy Brown, he's been playing drums for this band for 46 years. We're going to be talking to him. Can't wait. Just, I mean, my goodness, they've got so many hits. And in the United Kingdom, in the UK, these guys are like, I don't know who you compare them to. I don't want to say Elvis. That's a little bit of a stretch, but I mean they're just this massive entity in the UK. I mean they're signing autographs left and right when they're walking down the street. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, before we talk to him, before we move on, I do want to mention next week on the show we're going to interview Arnez J. Just terrific comedian. My God, just definitely a legend. Hosted Comic View, Caliente, just done it all. But we're gonna have this interview after he's here in Jacksonville. So I want to make sure that if you guys are in the Jacksonville area, you get out and see him this weekend. He's gonna be at the Comedy Zone 3 nights.
Great club too, man. Great club.
3 nights of the Comedy Zone.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's a good
9th,
good run.
10th, 11th. He was going to do the 8th, but he wanted to go fishing instead. So you got to catch him 9th, 10th, and 11th. And you'll hear me actually talk to him about that here next week because we talk about his fishing. He goes hard on the fishing, Mike. He is an angler. He gets it. But if you guys are looking for jokes, Jacksonville folks looking for jokes, head over to the Comedy Zone, 9th, 10th, 11th. You will get Arnez J. He will give it to you. He'll be running around on stage. He'll be sweating. He'll be getting it done. But, Mike, we need to start where we start.
Birthday suit.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
That is correct. And before I give you the actual birthday suit wearer, shout out to 2 of our former guests whose birthday it is today. Rodney Crowell, who was on the show, turning 74 years young there.
Happy birthday, Rodney.
Yeah, and Barry Kirch from Shinedown, turning 48 today.
Happy birthday, Barry Kirch.
There we go. 2 former birthday or 2 former guests of the show. Listeners, if you haven't heard those shows, go back and listen to them. Mike, probably not going to get this one. This is a football player. Football player. He's pretty well known, but I know football's not the best sport for you. So we'll give it a shot. Here we go. Born on August 7th, 1998 in Houston, Texas. Amazing athlete in high school, specifically football. He ended up being recruited by Alabama. He was the starting quarterback 2016 and 2017 for Alabama. But in the national championship game, he was benched for Tua Tagovailoa. After the next season, he transferred to Oklahoma, where he became their starting quarterback. He led them to the college playoffs. Then he was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, 53rd overall in the 2020 draft. He took over his rookie season as the starting quarterback. He has been their starting quarterback in Philadelphia ever since. He is a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he's led the Eagles to a Super Bowl in 2022. Name that birthday suit wearer.
Yeah, no idea.
Okay, I'll give you the initials. Don't think it'll probably help, but JH.
No idea.
Okay. Jalen Hurts, Mike.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Have you heard the name?
Yeah, I've definitely heard the name.
There we go.
Yeah.
Really strong guy, Mike.
Yeah.
That dude can like squat over 500 pounds. And he's been able to squat over 500 pounds since high school. He was a power lifter.
How many reps? Just like
One
one?
rep. It's not repping it out like 30 times. That'd be really impressive. But I mean, still, just think about that. You could get a bar. You could get a bar, put me on one side, put you on the other. We wouldn't be exactly balanced, I don't think, but we'd be close. And he would lift that fine. No problem. Both of us on the bar, right? That wouldn't even be close to his max. That'd be more like
I'm 150. So it'd be like 300. So then he would have another me.
Yeah, you could put another you on top of the bar, and then we'd be basically at where he's at.
Yeah, wow.
Insane. Plus, he's quite a multimillionaire thanks to his contract there with Philadelphia.
That's nice.
Yeah, and he's 26 years old, so that's a way to be 26. You know, that's a fun time.
26.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. Mike, are you ready to rip some headlines?
Let's rip some headlines, Doc G.
It's now time for Rip from the Headlines.
Mike, I'm going to start out with some local news for the folks in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is a story from WSOC Channel 9. Here's the headline. Quote, Carolina Panthers and Charlotte Football Club could get a new stadium in 2046. What? I'm gonna chalk that up to a slow news day in Charlotte, Mike. 2046. Do the math on that, Mike. That means in the time it takes for the stadium to arrive, a child could be born, grow up, go to college, graduate before the stadium is finished.
That's a fact.
Not a single player that is playing in the NFL would be alive to see this potential stadium. Okay, they'd be alive. But they definitely would not be playing in the NFL. No. That's for sure.
Long retired, yeah.
Oh, man. Call me crazy. But I feel
like those timelines.
No, I feel like there's something better that, the city council could have focused their time on, aside from being like, hey, could we or could we not have a stadium in 20-some years? I don't know. Maybe. Hey, there's homicides going on the south side. Let's talk about the stadium. It's pretty important. We got to get this down. Have you ever been to an NFL stadium, Mike?
Yeah, I was just at Allegiant Stadium. I spent a few days
there. What were you doing there?
Mr. Beast games.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I know that stadium very well.
That was the filming there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm guessing you didn't enjoy any of the concessions or anything like that because it was all filming and whatnot.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to an NFL stadium
with
a game going on?
Jacksonville Jaguars and Raymond James, Tampa Bay Bucks.
When was the Jags game?
Jags game 2016.
Oh man, close, Mike. I was about to say I was there. Yeah. We could have been at the same game, Mike.
It was they were playing the Packers.
We could have been at the same game because 2016, 2017 season, those two seasons, I worked at Dick's Wings every game.
Nice.
Not every game, but almost every game.
That'd be a tough gig, man.
It was for I was actually a volunteer. I was not I was not out there just making money. But it was horrible. I still have PTSD from it.
Oh man, you'd just be in the weeds the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And we got strategic though. We learned the location that had the least traffic, and that's where we started working after a while.
I got
But God, it was horrible. Yeah, I didn't get to enjoy really any Jaguars games. I was just there with the insanity. That's pretty much it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's tough. But it's nice stadium.
Nice stadium. Okay. Mike, I've got a headline from Telegraph. Here's the headline. World's largest iceberg spins in the ocean, refusing to melt.
Huh?
Mike, I've never known ice to be stubborn.
Nope.
Generally, the willingness for it to melt is based on temperature.
So true.
You know?
Yeah.
And given the temperature of our oceans over the last few years, I'm going to make a hard wager that if they go back and look at that iceberg in a little bit, probably not going to be there.
Yeah.
Just a guess. just a guess. I think Telegraph's trying to make it sound nice, you know? Like, oh no, it's hanging in. No, it's not. Not hanging in there. We're doing a real horrible job with that. Just let's keep it real, guys. Mike, we've had a headline from this group before. Daily Meal. You remember Daily Meal?
Oh yeah, Daily Meal.
Yeah. I got a headline from him, quote, "The only ingredients Bobby Flay uses to season his burgers," end quote. Listeners, brace yourselves. That list does not include love.
Aw.
I looked it up. It's not there, guys. He's got a bunch of loveless burgers coming out of his kitchen. What do you actually think it was, Mike? What do you think he said?
It feels like it's going to be just salt and pepper. Maybe that's it?
You nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Salt and pepper. That's it. He said no spices or garlic. He said it's not a meatloaf. Just salt and pepper. I'm no Iron Chef, Mike, but I say it depends on what you want to do, you know, what you're making.
Yeah.
I think you can make a funky burger if you want to. Throw some things in there. Now,
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
if you're really saying a classic burger, okay, salt and pepper. But like, branch out there, get crazy. Throw some other spices in there, you know.
I made burgers last night actually. We did. I added garlic powder and onion powder.
Yeah. I like doing that.
Yeah.
But he says none of that.
None of
he
that.
says none.
It's not meatloaf.
But don't worry,
It's
Bobby
not
Flay.
meatloaf.
Bobby Flay wasn't there. Don't worry, he's not British. You don't.
Oh,
have
he's
to
not
do it that
British.
way.
Oh, okay.
No.
Never mind.
No.
Mixed up.
You're probably thinking Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon, yeah,
you know?
that's it.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. Mike, cool documentary just came out in the UK. It aired on Public Broadcast Channel 4. Apparently, this documentary tells the untold stories of the passengers of the Titanic.
Love it.
Yeah.
I want to watch that now.
And it shows videos and colorized photos of the Titanic.
That have never been seen?
Right, new ones.
Oh,
New
what?
ones. Yeah. Now, what grabbed me,
Into it.
Mike, was that in this documentary, they actually had pictures of the Titanic's gym. Now, apparently, I missed out on this because there were already pictures of this on the web for decades, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know I didn't know the Titanic had a gym. But it had a workout room, Mike. And I got to say, pretty dope facility.
Really?
Yeah. You
I
got
don't know, those
exercise
old-timey-
bikes.
Those old-timey videos of people working out. It just looks like they're just trying to figure out how to work out for the first time in human
It's
history.
goofy. It's goofy, but they've got some pretty cool. I mean, they had exercise bikes, Mike. They had an electric horse.
Okay.
They had rowing machines.
That's useful.
You know, and I'd like to think. I was thinking. I was looking at
lifeboats.
Well, I was looking at it, Mike, and I was like, I'd like to think there were two guys working out, and one was like, "When are you ever gonna use that rowing machine? That's stupid, man." And then 2 days later, he's like, "Hey, remember when you said I was never gonna use this? You're welcome." You know, like just
I don't know, women and children, but there were a couple guys that snuck on.
No, those two guys beat the crap out of some women and children and stole a rowboat. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, there we go. Oh, Mike, just so you know, the weight room, there weren't any weights. The gym was open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Only open to women 9 to 12. Only open to men 2 to 6. No mixing of genders. You didn't get in there mixing genitals together. Don't think about it. All right? Don't think about it. It's crazy. It's weird. Like, I saw that on there, and I was just like, all right. Why can't you be in there together? I don't know. All right, it's 1900s. Who knows? Who knows?
Hilarious.
Okay, Mike, this was an interesting one. Nicole Kidman. You know Nicole.
Of course. Tom Cruise's wife.
Yeah.
Ex-wife.
Former. Yeah. Now Keith Urban's wife. She was interviewed by Vogue Australia sometime at the end of last week. And in the interview, she let the folks know that she drives a Subaru, even though her husband, Keith Urban, bought her a Lamborghini. And a lot of people were asking, like, what? Why? You know? And, Mike, I don't want to be the guy that perpetuates stereotypes. But I think we all know the type of person that drives a Subaru. And that's a braggart, Mike.
Oh.
An ultimate glamour car, am I right?
Yeah, pretty
the
much.
The car that screams, I have money.
Yep.
Look at me. You know? And if listeners, if you don't believe me, here's a little taste. You want to buy a 2025 Subaru Forester? You better be able to pay $29,000 base price. Yeah.
Base price.
Yeah.
No sunroof.
That's no turbocharged, Mike.
Okay.
You want a wireless charger in the console? That's going to cost you $377 extra. So yeah, I'd say Nicole's living it up. You know, it's being a little fancy.
Yeah.
Little midlife crisis. You got it. You got it. But I do agree with her, though. I don't know about you, but I would say, like, I mean, obviously, if somebody gave me a Lamborghini, I'd drive it anywhere. But I do feel like it'd be a bit much every day, you know? It'd be a lot to drive everywhere.
Yeah, it's not good for the car either. In-town driving. I wonder if it's SUV Lamborghini.
I haven't kept up with. I know there for a long time. I remember way back in the day, they didn't make any automatics, and Kobe made them make an automatic for his wife, and he paid like an extra insane amount for it. I'm guessing they make all like automatics now. I haven't checked up in the last like decade and a half. I don't know. But if it were still a manual, I definitely would not want to drive it everywhere. There's no way. Yeah. Not even like a real deal manual with a clutch. There's no way. Good God.
No way.
Oh, that'd be way too much. But I mean, a Sunday cruise, yeah, I'd get that thing. Oh my gosh. I'd be out there revving that thing up. Oh man. Doing that stupid thing that guys in Lamborghinis do where they rev up the engine to like 1,000, you know, just and then they just slam on the brakes right behind the person 10 feet later and then just stop again. Yeah, real dumb.
Did you know my car's a manual?
It is?
Yeah, I drive a manual.
Good for you.
I like it.
That's a lot of work, Mike. That is a lot of work. I can drive a manual poorly. Not good at all. I learned on my friend's car. I basically screwed his car up. Learned how to do it. Never really practiced. But I don't. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take too long for you to get it. But since I haven't done it in like 15 years, I'm guessing I'd be really horrible at it right now. Really horrible.
Maybe. It depends on the clutch. I mean, some cars.
Yeah, if you got that real easy clutch, that's always nice. That's always really nice. Mike, I've got a little headline here from Business Insider. Quote, see the inside of the first private jet version of Boeing 737 MAX.
Word.
That's the headline, Mike. And it is pretty opulent. It's a nice, I mean, it's got 2 bars. It's got 2 bedrooms, 2 giant showers, and I'm going to guess some really strong duct tape to hold the door closed. Let's just put this over here. There we go. But I do have to point this out, Mike, and I meant to send you a picture of this, but they had pictures in Business Insider, and in one of the bedrooms, there's this nice big king-size bed. And then beside the bed, there's just a regular plane seat. Like, it's literally this big king-size bed, and then right on the side of the plane is just a regular seat. And I was like, who's that for? Hey, listen, I'm going to go sleep for a while, but I'd like you to come back and sit beside me.
Pretty sure that's for when the door flies off and the plane starts.
Everybody strap in! We need to be locked down! It's very weird. It's very weird. But I got to be honest, Mike, if I'm going to spend, like, this is serious, listeners. If I'm spending $100 million on an airplane, I'm getting an Airbus.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm getting a Boeing. Are you kidding me?
Nah.
No. Have I seen any headlines of Airbuses falling out of the sky? No.
Mm-mm.
And just think how depressing it would be after you buy your $100 million plane and you're crashing a couple days later and you're like, man, there goes my $100 million. Oh, and I'm going to die. Oh, this is a downer. Like, that's a fact. Just no thank you, Mike.
Yeah, you know, some of the celebrities, I mean, I think I saw Kanye West. I think I heard of another person started flying, regular, like right on regular planes. I wonder if that's just because of
well, I'd say Kanye
safety.
doesn't have enough money. That'd be my guess.
That could be it.
But the regular planes, as far as you got to go with whatever the airline has.
Yeah.
And a lot of, you don't have many choices, Mike. You basically got Airbus and Boeing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I'm looking at Airbus.
Yeah.
That's it.
Airbus.
And if I'm going personal jet, I'm going Gulfstream or I'm going Airbus.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire, so I'm going to have to go Airbus because it's just bigger, you know?
You know what they should add? They should add transparent floors to planes. You know how they have that on the some of the boats?
I would definitely pants in that. Definitely. Oh, God!
Just an alternative
why are we
view.
so high? Oh, no. It'd be so freaky, like when you've got a bunch of cloud cover, you know, and all of a sudden you just see that cloud going through, and then it just opens up, and you're like, They could definitely do it, though, I feel like.
I think so, right? I mean, they have windows, you know.
It costs a lot.
Yeah, probably.
Like, to have, like, the whole, bottom, not like, you have little tunnels looking down.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mike, we are going to take a break. We are going to hear from our guest. This is the fantastic, the legendary UB40 with their smash hit, Red, Red Wine, right here on the Doc G Show. And we are back here on the Doc G Show, Spinnaker Radio, WSKRLP 95.5 FM in Jacksonville, Florida. Mike, what do the listeners need to do?
Well, Doc G, if the listeners feel like the show is a positive way to waste their time, they should please subscribe on all of the channels. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We are killing it on YouTube, SoundCloud, wherever you get your shows. It's a cost-effective way to support the show. And listeners, if you are feeling extra generous, please leave us a 5-star review.
Yeah.
And tell a friend.
Amen. Listeners, check it out. Right now on YouTube, hot clip of UB40 of old Jimmy Brown talking about the hot hits of Red Red Wine, how it became a hit. You'll be like, oh my God, it's way sexier seeing Jimmy Brown in person than just listening to this podcast without actually seeing him. Do it. Do yourself a favor. Go over there. And then while you're over there,
really cool story.
Subscribe it. Hit the old subscribe. We need to get that volume up. We need to get that volume up to where we're just we're able to support this podcast, and we can stop complaining to you guys to subscribe. Well, we'll never do that,
exactly.
but still,
we'll never stop.
But we also hand out thanks, Mike. And I'm getting ready to hand out some thanks right now to the 5-star listeners. Here we go. The regulars, the people that have always been there. You know what I'm going to do?
Shout out.
Here's what I'm going to do. Listeners, I've been saying it in the same order for so long. Here's what I'm going to do. I've just decided this. This is a new thing, and no one's going to give a but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate a name each week. So each week I'm going to put a new city at the beginning in the 5-star listeners. We're going to cycle through every single week. So get ready, Columbia, South Carolina, because next week you're at the top. You're at the top of the list. Here we go, Mike. Here we go. Shout out to Jacksonville, Florida, Columbia, South Carolina, Radford, Virginia, Gainesville, Florida, Frankfurt, Germany, Anoka, Minnesota, Ashburn, Virginia, Pircai, Brazil, San Diego, California, Dublin, Ireland, Boardman, Oregon, Genoa, Italy, Riches, Texas, Barcelona, Spain, Winfield, West Virginia, Biloxi, Mississippi, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Peoria, Illinois, Katy, Texas, Toms River, New Jersey, Olive Branch, Mississippi, Asheville, North Carolina, Los Angeles, California, Spartanburg, South Carolina, Athens, Georgia, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Chicago, Illinois, Boynton, Virginia, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Columbus, Ohio.
Shout out.
Nice.
My God, I know somewhere just a couple of weeks ago I got that all in one breath. I don't know how I got that all in one breath that time. I was really sucking some air, Mike. I don't know what I was doing that day, but I was getting it. We got some good 4-star listeners, Mike.
Shout out.
Got some folks putting in time.
Cool.
First off, shout out to Springfield, Illinois. 2 more weeks, Springfield. You're on the regulars. You're on the top 25. 2 more weeks. You're going to be in the regulars. You're gonna be solidified right in there. Prineville, Oregon. Prineville. 3 more weeks, Prineville. You're on the list. 3 more weeks. You're regulars. Miami, Florida. Shout out to Miami, Florida. They are the 305.
Shout out.
Mike's repping them. He's shouting them out. Fremont, California. You got any idea? A little geography test. You know where Fremont is, Mike?
Fremont. I want to say mid California. I mean, you know,
Bay Area. You got. We'll count Bay
Okay.
Area. I mean, people say NorCal, but really, it's it's sort of middle. Whatever. Yeah,
Okay.
it's beside Oakland. It's right beside Oakland is where Fremont is. Nice place.
Cool.
It's if you look at the little curve around the actual bay, you've got San Jose at the bottom, then Fremont, then Oakland, and then on the peninsula you got San Francisco.
That's a fact.
Anywho, shout out to Fremont. Padova, Italy, Mike. Padova. I think I'm saying that correctly. Might be screwing it up. Who knows? But Padova, shout out to them.
Padova.
That's northern Italy. Northeastern Italy. Pretty
Gotcha.
close to Florence? Florence. I think it's pretty close to Florence. Might be wrong on that. That might come back as a previously on the Doc G show. Because, God forbid, I give you guys wrong geography. I don't want to do that. Shout out to Kingsland, Georgia. Mike, that's on the coast there. That's a coastal Georgia. Madison, Wisconsin. Shout out to Madison. Mountain View, California. Shout out to Mountain View. Sydney, Australia. Mike, Sydney. Copenhagen, Denmark. Shout out to Copenhagen. Shout out to Johannesburg, South Africa. Shout out to Sao Paulo, Brazil. And lastly, shout out to Charlotte, North Carolina, Mike. Listeners in Charlotte, get ready. 22 years, you're going to have yourself a new stadium. Strap in. And you know what? Me and Mike are going to do a live podcast from that stadium when it happens.
Yes.
They're going to be like, hey, 2 really old dudes are doing a podcast from this stadium. And everybody's going to be like, what? Jesus. All right. Anyways.
Oh, gosh.
Mike, we need to take a break, but we are going to be right back with none other than UB40, Mr. Jimmy Brown.
The Doc G Show. Because sometimes you need something playing in the background. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on 99.5 FM, Spinnaker.
This is 95.5 Spinnaker Radio. WSKR-LP-FM, UNF Jacksonville.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we are joined by one of the founding members of the legendary act UB40. He has been playing drums with the band for 46 years, and they are currently on their Red Wine tour. They have been performing all over the United States, and they will be in St. Augustine on August 10th. At the amphitheater. We have none other than Mr. Jimmy Brown of UB40. Jimmy, how are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. Doing well. So you guys are in Sacramento right now. This will be the 21st show in the United States. How have the shows been?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think we must be around there. I think we're just over halfway through the tour. I think it was a 2-month tour, and we're about halfway through now. And yeah, it's all going very well. We're thoroughly enjoying it. Even after all these years, it's still great fun to be on the road with your friends and, you know, and having a good time. So yeah, we're having a great time right now.
Nice. Well, now I noticed on the touring schedule, you got like several different style venues. You got the civic centers, you got the theaters, you got a couple of casinos. You're going to be playing an amphitheater here. What's your favorite type of venue? As the drummer, what do you dig?
Yeah, you know what? That's a difficult question because I love outdoor gigs because the sound quality is always so much better when you're outdoors rather than fighting with the acoustics of a venue.
Yeah.
But I do love doing small clubs. Just because we're quite a big band, and I think we're a very powerful band in a small space, probably a little bit too powerful, you know. 11 on stage, you know. So we're a big band, making a big noise. Yeah, it's still, you know, I wouldn't like to say one venue's better than the other. They had the pluses, they had the minuses. But I do like outdoor gigs, especially festivals are fun.
Nice. Well, you're going to be, you know, when you're down in St. Augustine, you're going to be dealing with a little heat. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be outdoor and it's going to be warm.
We're used to that. We played, well, I think it was last year we played in Vegas and it was 96 degrees at 11 o'clock in the evening. And that was a really hot gig. But we're used to that. That's fine.
Yeah, well, now UB40, of course, you guys have been touring. Like I said, you've been touring well over 40 years. When you come to the U.S., what's unique? What would you say is different when you guys play the U.S. versus the U.K.?
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot more road for a start. I mean, I think it was either the last tour or the tour before that. We did 22,000 miles on the road in the bus. And yeah, that's, you know, and that's the thing about America. You can drive for 20 hours between cities, you know, and can't do that in England or even Europe, really. So, yeah, I mean, America's set up for truckers and people being on the road. And it's the infrastructure's there. You know, the truck stops are always there. And, you know, it's like, it's probably the most fun touring because we spend so much time on the bus and, you know, we get to do a lot of sleeping, which helps.
Now, obviously, we've got some unique cuisine as far as food here in America. Would you say when you come, is there any place when you tour the U.S. that you're like, I got to stop there? Is there anything in your mind that you got to get when you come to the U.S.?
Yeah, I suppose all of it really. I mean, there's so many things you can get here that you don't get, you know, back home.
Yeah,
it's difficult to think of examples, but you know, just brands and stuff, you know, that you don't get back at home. You know, but it's just, you know, the whole vibe of the country is get on the road and let's get moving and let's get up from one town to the other. And, you know, I mean, it's been the same forever and ever, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We travel around, we get paid. We entertain people, we get paid, we move on to the next city. That's what we do.
Well, somebody that's been traveling with you now for 3 years, he's getting familiar. Matt Hollywood Doyle, taking over.
Big name. Yeah.
Ta-
He's,
taking
it-
over the lead singing deal there.
yeah, he's a very talented young man. He's given us a kick, just having somebody with that enthusiasm and on the road with you, and and he's got a very experienced band backing him, so I think he's fairly confident when he goes on stage. We have every confidence in him, and he's done a great job so far. And the gigs have been wonderful. Really enjoying it.
Well, now when Duncan stepped back from singing, and you guys had to choose a new singer, was it fairly unanimous for Matt? Like, I mean, because I know you guys had got to see him, his previous band toured with you guys for like 80 shows or something. So was it sort of like you guys all looked at each other and were like, yeah, it's Matt. We should go with Matt.
Yeah, I don't think we considered anybody else really. I think obviously it was a shock when Dunk had to stand down.
Yeah.
He unfortunately had a stroke, and he couldn't. After that point, he couldn't rely on himself to remember words or arrangements, and it definitely affected him. So he had to stand down of his own choice, really, because he knew it couldn't be relied on. So we got. There was never any talk of anybody else. Matt, we knew anyway, is the percussionist's nephew.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's kind of still in the family. So we like to do that if we can.
Sure.
Family. So yeah, he's a great guy. What can I say? And he's we knew him anyway. He comes from where he comes from, and I think that's important because our hometown is what kind of informs everything we do.
Yeah.
Whether it's musically or politically or whatever. It's coming from a multicultural town like Birmingham City, Birmingham, an enormous privilege really to be somewhere where you can see the four corners of the world go by your own doorstep. It's a beautiful thing, and I think that is a reflection. That's if you took a bunch of people off the streets of Birmingham, they would look like us. You're bound to have somebody from India or Pakistan or from the Caribbean or it's just the way Birmingham makeup is.
Yeah.
And I think that's an enormous privilege to be brought up in those circumstances. But that affects everything that we do, and it affects everything he does as well. So I think that works well for us.
Nice. Well, how would you say the audience have they accepted Matt with open arms since he's been performing?
Absolutely. No, but we haven't heard one complaint from anybody.
Nice.
He's such a really good singer, and I think a lot of people may be coming to the show that don't know we've got a different singer, and they're probably still not aware when they're going home, because obviously we make sure that he fits into the sound that we make. There's a lot of close harmonies.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of discipline in what we do, and he's very happy to do that. And everything just sounds like UB40, and that's what we wanted.
I would definitely say, when you hear it, because on the most recent album there, the UB45 album, you guys re-recorded some of the old hits like Red Red Wine on there, and
we want to get his voice on those old tunes.
Yeah.
Obviously that's how we play it live. So that's to put it across, on the record.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he obvious, and it's sort of like you said, the harmonies, like Robin's harmonies, and just the way that it's so important to the sound. Those harmonies, you don't realize how that's such a crucial part to it as well. That when they come in together, it sounds so similar, like you said, to the original. Did it feel any different? I mean, did it feel any different when you recorded them with Matt there instead of Dunk?
Not really. We didn't want to change things around too much. We didn't want to do like a freeform jazz version of reggae. We wanted to keep them pretty much the way they are, with some slight differences, because when you play a tune over the years, you get a feel for the different dynamics inside the tune. And that's when you really understand where you go up and when you lay back a bit, and and that's so there's that. There are those differences, but they're very simple. And it's I think people will come and hear UB40 when they come to our shows. That's what they're going to hear.
100%. Well, now on that, like I said, on that album, you guys did have new songs with Matt. You released "Give Me Some Kind of Sign" and "Home." Now I know historically, you guys, as far as the band, have sort of credited the entire band with the writing credits. Has the process of writing changed any since Matt's gotten there? How did he approach the process, and you guys sort of assimilate with him?
Yeah, it was really easy actually. There was not, because we've recorded over 500 tunes, and it's kind of difficult to pick which ones that we're gonna play. We've done that many, So I think, it's he knew the band anyway. Obviously, everybody's heard of UB40. We seem to be known all the way around the world. It's quite amazing how far the music has travelled. But he knows that stuff as well as we do. He was brought up on it, and he remembers listening to it, old hits of ours when he was young. When he was just a toddler, even. So he knows the band, and we're a very open kind of a process of anybody can throw anything into the mix, and if it gets approval from everyone else, then that goes through to the final mix. So he just throws his ideas in, and it keeps us fresh as well, because you run out of ways of saying pretty much the same thing. Whether in politics it's about class war, and if it's love, it's usually about some kind of broken relationship, and so the subject matters aren't that wide really for pop, So he understands where we're coming from, and everything seems to happen very smoothly.
Nice.
And we're with him, yeah.
Well, now I wanted to go back for your sort of stimulus of starting playing in the band. I know obviously at the roots of UB40, it's a reggae band, and I know Robin said really the first thing that got him wanting to perform was he saw Bob Marley back in '76. Would you say that was like what got you, or did you already want to perform before that concert?
Yeah, I think it was kind of going to be in our DNA to be, doing something with music. Even though we went to an art school, funnily enough, from the age of 11, we were kind of hot-housed. That's how we met each other. It was at school, half the band went to school together. And it was a kind of special school in as much as they took the best artists from all the lower schools and put them all together in one school. And that's how we met. And I think, when you're creative like that, you can put your hand to lots of different things. For us, it was fine art. We were doing drawing and painting. But then when you're creative, I think you can do other things as well, Yeah. We're always going to do something creative. And music was something that we, all loved. And reggae music, because of where we lived right in the middle of, a melting pot of all different people, especially people from the Caribbean and especially from Jamaica. So we were surrounded by sound systems and different reggae bands, and an exciting time in the 70s. Steel Pulse had a hit with Handsworth's Revolution, the first number one reggae album, I think, in the UK anyway. And it's like, it's grown, and that I think the fact that we chose reggae, obviously going to see Marley was a phenomenal experience. It was a one of a kind performer, and it was just, and it was before he was really big. It was in a smaller venue before he broke. It was just a phenomenal experience, and we could see the power of music. How that whole place was throbbing, with the sound, and it was just such a fantastic experience to see.
Yeah.
It's really in the end for us saying, come on, we've got to get a band together, and it's got to be a reggae band.
Well, shout out to David Hines. We had him on the show, and Steel Pulse is fantastic. He actually told us about when they toured with Bob Marley, and that had to be ridiculous. But when did you start playing drums in school? Was it for school that you started playing?
Not really. I kind of sat behind a drum kit, but I didn't really know what to do with it. And then later on, when we left school, we found ourselves sort of congregating back into one area. As we were a gang of mates, a gang of friends used to hang out. And it was, it wasn't until a couple of years, I was probably 18, 19 when I took it up seriously. But I always had an affinity, because when I was younger, I used to sit there tapping out little rhythms on desks, side of the couch or whatever, Used to drive my mum mad, just to go, stop tapping. But she didn't realise I'd be able to make a living out of doing that later, So
it would be worth it.
The teachers used to hit me on the back of the knuckles because I'd be tapping on the desk, So there was always an affinity, I think, to playing some kind of rhythm instrument.
Yeah. Well, so you guys, you had the debut album with Signing Off. It was a huge hit. It was on the charts for 71 weeks. But then Labor of Love in 1983, that was the big deal, of course. It went to number one in the UK, went to number one in America eventually, Red Red Wine did. What was your guys I don't think a lot of bands usually start out saying, we are going to do a cover album. What was the stimulus to do that cover album?
Well, we always wanted to, because the songs that we put on the first Labor of Love album, they were some of our favourite reggae tunes from America. And we thought that they were big everywhere until we started traveling out and realizing that actually in our little sort of enclave in Birmingham, obviously reggae had a very high profile, but as soon as you got out of that, it didn't. In America, they'd only ever heard of Eddie Grant. They didn't know of Marley when we first came to the States. I think I'm glad that we chose reggae as a genre, because I think a lot of bands started in the 80s along with us, Duran Duran, the Specials, all those kind of bands, all from the same area, but I think a lot of those bands now sound like 80s, whereas because we chose reggae as a genre, it's kind of timeless. And and can still sound fresh today, and it's not just nostalgia. There's still a freshness to the style of the music. So, we're very relieved to have chosen that genre of music, because it's done well for us over the years.
100%. Well, now, how confused were you guys in the band when Red Red Wine, a song you guys put out 5 years before, all of a sudden started exploding in America out of nowhere in 1988?
Yeah, it was bizarre, because we'd had it. It was a number one hit everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
Except for the States.
Yeah.
And it was picked up on a radio station by one guy. I don't know why he picked it up. But then they got lots of sort of calls in response to the tune. And then the next radio station picked it up. Then the next radio station picked it up. And then it kind of ballooned.
Yeah.
And of course the record company to release it, because they didn't want to release it. They weren't really interested in releasing it, And they were forced into it. And at the end, it was a big number one hit in America. But like you say, 5 years later, I like your research, by the way. You've done a good job there.
It's so wild, because I looked up, it's one of those things that you look up, and I remember, even though I was really young when it happened, I remember when it was popular in America, And and then you look back at the you know, the numbers, and I was like, wait, why is there 5 years difference between these two? And so then I looked up the story, and it's like you said, and the wild part is that it made it to number 39 on the charts in 1983 in America. So it had already been there in 83, and then it's like people just completely forgot about it, and then it comes back and is way more popular that second go round.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's phenomenal, really, because it's not down to. I'm quite proud of it because it's not down to hype. It was down to genuine word of mouth. Yeah, made it big, and I'm really proud of that. That we've very rarely had the big hype machine behind us. We're an independent band. We didn't move to London to go to all the parties and seeing it, all the red carpet dues. We did. Yeah. That's not our game. We don't play that game. Yeah. And so really the idea that spontaneously we had this massive hit record in America was a feeling, really was.
But it's like you said, it is so impressive that, I mean, and it's also, like I said, so confusing, the fact that a lot of America heard it in 83, and for whatever reason it just didn't go as high then, and then they hear it again sort of in that natural way in 88 and go, okay, now we're ready. Now we really like this song.
And it goes to show that it's such, when you're talking about public taste, it's a very unpredictable thing, and if record companies knew what were going to be hits before they hit, then they'd have every record they release would be a hit, and obviously it's not, So you can't really guarantee anything until after the fact. It's sold. That means it was a hit record, but you can't. It's going to be a hit record in the first place. All you got to do is just do what you like and hope other people are going to like it too.
Yeah. Well, now on this tour, obviously it's named after Red Wine, and I'm guessing you play it every night. But do you guys switch up the set? Is it the same set, or is it different every night?
We tend to play the same set because you play it in. Mm-hmm. We don't keep swapping and changing things. I mean, we might do in the beginning when we say, oh, well, that tune there doesn't really work, so we'll move that somewhere else, or we'll take that out. And there are little adjustments to be made. But generally, no, we like to, because it's nice when everything becomes second nature, because then you can enjoy being on stage. If you're still trying to remember arrangements and you're concentrating, and that can take away from the performance to a degree. Yeah. We like to have it where it becomes second nature, and then we can have fun on stage, which is what we like to do.
For sure. Well, now, I know, like we talked about, you've been at it now for 40 some years. What at this point on this tour, it's obviously, it doesn't have to be your favorite song, a UB40 song, but what song are you having the most fun performing this tour?
The new ones, to be honest, the ones that are on UB45, Home, that you mentioned earlier. We're really enjoying doing that. We've got a whole dub workout section at the end where it's kind of improvisational. You don't know what's going to happen next, which is fun. We like doing that, doing a dub section where you've got all that different sort of textures going on in the music, it's doing Home is great. Giving some kind of sign, doing that tune, because everybody seems to know it anyway. It's even though there's lots of young kids come to the show and they're singing it, and I'm thinking, well, you don't remember the original Bretton Woods version of that tune from the 60s, but don't know it. It's one of those records everybody knows, so everybody along by the end of it. So the new ones are the ones that are most fun. Obviously, Red Wine's fun because everybody sings along and everybody, it goes down really well with the audience, obviously,
Not having the experience of having a number one hit like that, I imagine the feeling of doing that song of Red Wine is like when you have a story that all of your friends know that you tell and they love when you tell it, and you go to like a new bar and they're like, you got to tell the story when we wrecked in the car, and you're like, you don't want to at first, but then when you start telling it, everybody gets excited about it and they're adding things in, and by the end you're like, yeah, that was fun, that was a good time.
Definitely, we played it a lot of times, and yeah, I mean, we don't rehearse it as much as we used to, obviously, because we have to play it, but it always gets the audience always love it. And I mean, it's annoying sometimes because you think, oh, I like other tunes, not just that one, but that's how the audience is and that's how they like it. So we're certainly going to be playing all those old hits when we get to the gig.
Absolutely. Well, Jimmy, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you got to get on stage tonight, but I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Listeners, make sure you get out to St. Augustine Amphitheater August 10th to see UB40 right now. Let's take a listen to that new song, Home, right here on the Doc G Show. And we are back here on the Doc G Show. You just heard Jimmy Brown of UB40. My goodness, Mike. If you think about that, Red Red Wine came out for them in 1983, which means they've been playing that in front of live audiences for 41 years.
Yeah.
If I were him, I don't know. I'd have to get a lot of love from the crowd to keep me playing that thing, man.
So true.
Really? Well, you didn't catch this because you were unable to attend the interview, Mike. But and we didn't have it on just now when it was playing because we don't want to hear it again, listeners. Why would we listen to it ourselves? This is ridiculous. I'm kidding. We do a good job. Anyways.
Yeah, we do.
I brought it up, though, with him as far as would I imagine. I've never had a number one hit, Mike, as you may not be aware, but I haven't had a number one hit. Not yet. I've got a couple of tunes that are in the works. They're going to hit. They are polka-driven classic rock, and they are good.
Huh?
We're going to have a podcast that's going to go to number one. One episode is just going to go to number one. It'll be the best podcast. 2 weeks. 2 weeks on the top chart.
Mike, it's when they find the podcast where we're talking about bidets. Somebody's going to catch that one 3 years from now, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, wait a second, hold on." But no, Mike, I was telling him, I've never had a number one hit, but in my head, having a number one hit and everybody wanting to hear it, and I know you being a comedian probably have this feeling a lot of times, because I don't know about you, but I've got several stories that friends of mine love when I tell them, right? They're these stories that happened. A lot of them are stories that happened to us, like back in the day, like a story about when we got in a wreck in a car and what happened or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like whenever we're with new people, like their friends that I don't know, they're like, dude, you got to tell the car wreck story. You got to tell it. And I'm like, oh, fuck, man, I've told this story 500 times. But then when you start telling it and they're all laughing and they're throwing in their stuff, you get jazzed. And by the end, you're like, all right, that was fun. Okay. That's what I imagine it's sort of like for them. They're like, oh, we got to play Red Red Wine again. Jesus, this is the 45th thousand time. But when you see everybody singing it and you see everybody,
they're all dancing
you're like,
around.
all right, this is a good time. This is
All
great.
right, they're having a good time.
Yeah, it gets you in there. So like, but it's also, like I was saying, it's just wild for them. I've literally never seen any other, and I'm sure the super music aficionados could find where this has happened in the past, but I've never seen this, like a song like this, where it goes to number 1 in the UK, and it goes to number 39 in America in 1983, and then people are just like, yeah, we're done with it, and it goes away. And then randomly, a DJ in Arizona is like, hey, I'm going to play this song again. And everybody's like, yeah, now we like that song. And everybody just starts naturally requesting it. And 5 years later, it goes to number 1.
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
insane. Like, I would be...
It's wild,
I would
man.
be so weirded out if I were one of the members of UB40. If that were happening, I'd be like, what? Wait, why? Wait, we haven't... That song hasn't been popular in 4 years. What are you talking? What? Why is it doing that? Like, be so wild. I mean, it'd be awesome, but it'd be so wild.
It would be awesome.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that literally would be like all of a sudden one of our... I mean, not exactly because podcasts are topical, you know, and there's things. But, like, it'd be like one of our podcasts from, like, several months ago or a year ago. All of a sudden, just the numbers just skyrocket on it. And you're like, what? Wait, why?
It's going to happen, man.
That would
I'm
actually
telling
make
you.
me very nervous because then I'd be like, what did I say bad on that? What am I going to get arrested for? What was on there? Did I say something about the gay community? Oh, no. Oh, I said something in like, you know, it'd just be, yeah, I'd be concerned. Anyways, Mike, we need to move on. First of all, before we move on, thank you to UB40 for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Fantastic.
It's amazing.
Listeners, this Friday, get out there, see them. They are going to be at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. You are going to enjoy it.
That's right.
My goodness, the hits that you will hear Red, Red Wine. You will hear Can't Help Falling in Love. You'll hear the new songs like Home. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. But Mike, we need to move on to the fastest growing segment in the world.
Mike C. Top 3.
Now, Mike, we did a fill-in last week because you weren't here, and I didn't want to take the topic from you, and then you have to come up with a new topic on the fly, you know. So last week we did top 3 Prince songs. And I realized you didn't do this on purpose, but you sort of shaded Prince when we did the Michael Jackson ones because that was right at the time of the 40th anniversary of Prince Purple Rain that you did that. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? We'll do the Prince songs to even it out. We're a little bit late, so we did the Prince songs.
Cool.
But your top 3 for this week was top 3 space facts. Now, Mike, I ran out of time looking up space facts. So, if you would allow me, next week I'd like to do Space Facts Part 2.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm going to be honest. These space facts, they're sort of lame. Oh, come on. I just sort of found 3, and I was like, I mean, don't get me wrong. All 3 of them, I'm like, that's pretty crazy. But, like, still. I basically did solar system facts. I didn't even get out of the solar system, you know? There's so much space that I did not explore, you know? So anyways, Mike, I don't have any honorable mentions. I kept it to 3. Okay. So if you have any honorable mentions, let's hold them until next week, and then you can potentially put them in your top 3 part 2, you know? Okay, my number 3, Mike. Here we go. The International Space Station orbits the Earth in 90 minutes.
Oh, yes. That's a cool one.
All the way around. 90 minutes, which means it's traveling. This is mind-boggling. 4.76 miles per second.
Yeah.
That is insane. That is so fast. That is thousands of miles per hour that it is traveling around the Earth. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's fast.
And when you think about that, I mean, you already know that, I mean, the physics that go into it, but then you think about when the actual spaceship goes up there to dock, the logistics that go into that thing docking, that you got to get that speed going the same as the space station to get on in there. Like, it's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes
all the sunsets that they see too, or sunrises.
Sometimes I forget about that though, just the speed of things. Like, I mean, the speed of also rocket ships getting out of gravity and going to the moon. It's insane. Mm-hmm. But anyways, Mike, I digress. Your number 3.
My number 3. So a lot of people know that if the sun just disappeared, that we would still get its light for 8 minutes.
Okay.
Because it takes
it takes a while.
7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
We would also still feel the sun's gravity for 8 minutes. Yeah. Because gravity also travels at the speed of So
okay.
That's kind of cool.
Okay. All right. We're not going to lose the sun anytime soon, right?
No.
Okay. Good. Mike, here's my number 2. It's not too exciting, but it is pretty wild to think about. There's a canyon system on Mars that stretches the distance of California to New York. That's how long it is. And it's 4 times as deep as the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Pretty huge Grand Canyon of Mars right there. That's a big old Grand Canyon just filled with iron ore, a whole bunch of rust going on in there. All kinds of aliens in there, Mark. Mike.
For sure.
I don't know why I called you Mark. Mars. That's why I called you Mark. I got it.
That's my name on Mars.
I was about to say, on Mars, you're Mark. That's how we do that. Okay.
Hilarious.
Mike, you're number 2.
Oh, you know why people pass away in the Grand Canyon? One of the reasons why people fall over. One of the reasons why people fall over is because they sit on the edge and then they look into the Grand Canyon for so long that when they stand up, they're disoriented.
They lose their balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I would not sit on the ledge. There's no way.
No way. It's terrifying, man.
No way I'm doing
Grand Canyon is so scary.
No way I'm doing a rim job like that. That is not happening. No, thank you.
Okay.
Mike, you're number 2.
Number 2. Okay, so there is a planet similar to Saturn. It's called J1047b.
Okay, J1047b.
And the ring system is 640 times larger than Saturn's ring system.
That's pretty huge.
And it's a pretty cool looking planet. And there's actually, what makes it kind of interesting too, is you can Google images of this planet and what it would look like from Earth if it was where Saturn was.
Okay.
And those look pretty cool.
Be giant. Be effing giant out there.
Real quick, 2 for 1. So one of Saturn's moons, Enceladus, has it has volcanoes that shoot the ice particles out at the escape velocity of the planet, right? And then so the ice particles that it shoots out are the E-ring of Saturn. Yeah.
Now, is this planet that has the rings? Is it gaseous like Saturn? Do they know?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know actually.
I mean, it's got to be.
I think so.
It's got to be pretty tough once they get to us. No, they can analyze. They have ways of analyzing whether it's not. I would guess it is. Usually, planets that big are not actually terrestrial planets. You can't get that big. I digress. Mike. Number 1 on my list. Honestly, I don't know if this... I mean, it's pretty wild, but I don't know if this should be number 1. But number 1, Neptune. Planet Neptune has winds of 1,200 miles per hour.
Oh.
1,200 miles per hour. That is some fast wind, man.
Yeah.
I do not want to be a part of that. Also, in the fact that it's like -300 on that planet at all times.
Not ideal.
It's a real downer. It's a real downer for vacay. I don't want to go there anymore. But
1,000 miles, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Mike, what is your number 1?
My number 1. So I'm really interested in how long it takes to get to the nearest star.
Yeah.
And
I saw some of those.
I got a couple different times for different types of things I can go to. So the Breakthrough Starshot light sail, it's propelled by lasers, and it would take around 20 years to reach Alpha Centauri.
That's a pretty long time.
It's a long time. But
For
less
just
than
lasers.
a stadium.
That's true. That's true. You will get there before the stadium is built.
We would have the stadium, and then you would add on to that. It would take 4 years for the information, for the data to get back to Earth. So you would still have like 2 years with the stadium, and then so you'd be like,
and then you get the data back. All right, hey, yeah.
You'd have the stadium for 2 years, and then okay, and then it takes with the Parker Solar Probe.
Okay.
That's the fastest spacecraft ever built. That would take 6,700 years.
That's a bit.
And then for like a space shuttle, and then I just ChatGPT'd this, it takes like 17,000 years, which I like looked up a couple different. It takes like 17,000 years to get to the closest star.
We need to be a little faster than that.
Just a little bit.
If we actually wanted to go to one.
Yeah.
Need to hit that 6 parsec speed. You know? Need to
How many stadiums is that? Anyways.
That would be a lot. Would you say 16,000 years? 60,000? Well, how many years was it?
17,000 years.
17,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17,000. That's that's a lot of stadiums.
That's 2 Charlotte stadiums.
That's Mike, we are gonna do Space Facts 2. And I'm gonna have some humdingers next week.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna have some humdingers. It's gonna be impressive space facts. But we are 0 for 1 on birthday suits. I think we might be able to end 2 for 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the hard one first. Born on August 7th, 1975 in South Africa. At the age of 16, she moved to Milan with her mom, and then they moved to the United States. She first started dancing and modeling, but ended up moving to LA to try for movies. Her first movie was Children of the Corn 3 in 1995. The next was the movie 2 Days in the Valley. She hit her stride at the end of the 90s and played in the movie Monster in 2003, where she picked up a lot of awards and celebration. In 2000, she played in The Italian Job, in Hancock, in Mad Max Fury Road, The Fate of the Furious, The Old Guard, and F9. Not a big deal in her success, but I'll tell you, probably one of the things that I know her the best for, Dior's perfume J'adore. Which she actually just retired from being the endorser of that perfume. She did it from 2004 until this year, 2024.
Wow.
20 years. Name
That's awesome.
that birthday suit wearer.
Charlize Theron.
Correct. Charlize
Nice.
Theron, yes indeed. She's a good-looking lady.
Yeah, she is.
Good looking lady. I remember back in the day when she did that whole Monster, and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" Because like she, didn't wear makeup, and they made her. I think they like did some extra things to her to make her look a little rough and frightening in that movie, if I do recall. But that was a big deal. I remember that the Monster was a big deal. That was
Never watched it.
Which one was it? Mad Max that got you?
Oh, wait. I think it was the Mad Max, but I do vaguely remember Monster.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I think I do remember Monster.
Yeah.
Was that the Alien movie?
No. You're thinking
Oh,
of
okay.
something
Never
else.
mind.
Yeah. All right, Mike. You ready for the third one?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. This is a basketball player. Pretty sure you got this one. Born on August 7th, 1989 in Compton, California. Her birthday suit wearer was a standout basketball player. By the time he was a freshman in high school, he was a standout basketball player by the time he was a freshman in high school. As a senior, he averaged 29.2 points a game and 7.9 rebounds a game. Ended up going to USC for college, played 1 season for the Trojans before going to the NBA. He was drafted by the Toronto Raptors 9th overall. He ended up spending 9 seasons with the Toronto Raptors and was a 4-time All-Star during that period. In 2018, he was traded to the Spurs in the trade that sent Kawhi Leonard to the Toronto Raptors. He spent 3 seasons with the Spurs, and then he was traded to the Chicago Bulls. With the Bulls, he was selected as an All-Star 2 more times. Just this offseason, the Bulls traded him to the Sacramento Kings. 2 things about this guy. He has a big Joker tattoo on his arm, and then he also usually has cornrows. Name that birthday suit wearer.
Oh, man. What year was he born?
1989.
89. He usually has cornrows. Played on the Raptors.
He was the tangent there with old Kyle Lowry. So it was him and Kyle Lowry on the Toronto Raptors, sort of doing their all-star thing there for a couple of years. And then he was traded.
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know. This is going to be frustrating because I know I'm going to know the name.
Okay, this is sort of more than just initials, but this will give it away a little bit. But
I think initials would work. I think I could get it.
I don't know if it will, actually, because that's the thing. Both his first name and his last name start with D-E. First name, DeMar.
DeMar Rosen.
Yeah.
DeMar
DeRozan.
DeRozan.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, there you go. DeMar DeRozan, man, turning 35. Yeah. Sad couldn't get him. Sad couldn't get him.
That's okay.
You know? I will be honest. He's an overlooked all-star a lot of times, though. You know? He is he's a great star, but you just sort of forget about it. He gets sort of put in the wash, you know?
Yeah.
Now he's with the Kings, too. Like, that was such a weird off-season trade that I was just like, all right, I guess he's going to the Kings now. Which is sort of cool for him because, he's a California guy, but it's not Southern California. Yeah. He's all the way up there in Sacramento. So he's got to travel all the way down the state to go see his family and whatnot. But he was in the, I'm pretty positive he was in the video for Not Like Us with old Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
I know he was on stage with him. He was doing, he danced with him on stage, but I think he was in the video too there. Pretty sure. So shout out to DeMar DeRozan, real deal Compton man, turning 35. Mike, we need to wrap it up, but my goodness, the guest we have on the show. So like I said, next week, we have got none other than the legend Arnez J coming on the show. Can't wait to talk to Arnez. Then we've got the fantastic bands 311, the fantastic band Bush. Both of these bands, I mean, my gosh. Those 2 bands coming on this crappy show. Can you believe it? My goodness. And
crazy,
then we've got Skylar Accord, just a fantastic bassist, great artist, played with 21 Pilots, played with the band Issues. He's got his solo stuff coming out. Can't wait to talk to him. And I told Claude about this group coming on. We have got Carbon Leaf coming on the show, and I'm so excited about Carbon Leaf coming on the show because, Mike, they came on the show way back in the day. Not as long as you did, because, you came on the show back in 2017. They came on in the show 2018. And then they came on in 2019. And I haven't had them on the show since 2019. So it's going to be a little 5-year anniversary since the last time they came on the show.
Nice.
So can't wait for them to come on the show. Barry is such a nice guy, their lead singer. The shows are going to be fantastic, listeners. So, keep listening.
Yeah, of course.
Keep doing what you do. But until then, we need to wrap it up. I have been your host, Doc G. With me, as always, the one, the only, Mikey Maximus Verticus Charette.
Always a pleasure, Doc G. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And until next week, zip it up and zip it out.
Zippity-doo-dah.